Today is one of my favorite people in chiropractic, who's not a chiropractor, but he's a longtime UAC member, Jonathan McAlees. You might know him through Fortis. He was really key in helping to build and scale Fortis in the chiropractic industry. He's now moved on from that job to his next venture with P3, but he gets into the conversation around the membership model of chiropractic. What works, how you maximize it, the benefits of it. This is a great conversation if you are not running a membership model to consider the pros and the cons. Today's sponsor, I want to give a shout out to, first and foremost, is the Remarkable Practice, TRP. These shows are made possible by our success partners. You'll notice there's a different sponsor for each podcast that we do. The Remarkable Practice. I think their niche is in helping chiropractors to become the CEO of their own business. They have 4 seasons: launch, scale, build, and exit. It's the CEO part that I'm going to speak to a little bit, because I think a lot of the people in UAC have figured out how to become the CEO of their business. So they're able to work on the business, not in the business. It takes a lot of systems, a lot of KPIs. You can't just jump in and get away with that. It takes a lot of work and intention. And if you have an interest in turning your business into something that isn't your job, but it's truly your business, I'd say investigate TRP, the Remarkable Practice. Google them and reach out to them and say that you heard about them here on the UAC podcast. Let's jump in and get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ultimate Achievers Club Best Practices Podcast, where we bring a member from UAC and they share some best practices in business and or in life, and something you could take and implement into your life or your business, your practice, and get some real results from somebody who's done it successfully before. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Alan Miner, who will take it away and introduce our special guest, who I've known for a very long time.
Hey, Jay. I've always called you J-Mac. I don't know why. Jonathan McAlees is a good friend. We've been in UAC together a long time. Jonathan and I have been in accountability groups together. And Jonathan, you always have a great perspective on things. I met you through your work at Fortis, doing reoccurring payments is how I always thought of that, merchant account stuff. You're now on to your next act with a group called P3, doing wellness clinics we'll touch on, but also P3 does work with membership models. And I think, of your many levels of genius, you have an intimate insight into, just because you got to see the data of many thousands of clinics for many years, what makes that work? What's the pitfalls of recurring revenue? What are the benefits of it? So I want to take the time to go there with you. So welcome in, Doctor. It's not Dr. J. I always
No,
your
I'm one of
brother
the few non-doctors in the family.
But he's from a big family of chiropractors.
Yeah, both sides of the
chiropractors
family. I'm the black sheep. Did go to college.
It's funny you've had so much work though for your dad being a chiro and your brother and everybody else in your family.
Yeah, my grandfather's brother was a founding member of Life, and I still didn't make my way there. So
probably saved a lot of money and scar tissue. Maybe by going your route.
You did a lot for the profession, though. I could tell you that.
So, talk to us about membership model, and let's start with what are you doing now? Because it's not a chiropractic clinic, but it's in the wellness space, but it's still related to this membership model that chiropractors use.
Yeah, so P3 Recovery was a franchise started out of Australia. There's 4 magnesium-infused pools. So it's an ice, a cold, a warm, and a hot bath. They can fit about 12 people in it. Traditional and infrared saunas, red light beds, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, IV, leg compression, breathwork meditation. So it's kind of like this recovery for the body. So we've got 12 facilities open in Australia. We'll probably have close to 20 by the end of the year. We've sold a total of 30. We're in New Zealand, and now we're opening our first U.S. location in Encinitas, California, and we'll start franchising Q4 of this year in the U.S.
Cool.
So
what's the 3?
Prepare, prevent, and perform. So it's to help athletes, everyday people kind of work on their body. It's almost like going to a spa, but something you can do every day. And the whole model is really based around recurring membership. So it makes it, affordable. It makes it easy to get to. A lot of places today are charging, you'll pay $70 to go sit in a sauna. and you'll pay less than that for a week of unlimited services in our facility. So it's much more affordable. We're a much bigger facility. Our facilities tend to be around 5,000 square feet. But it allows for a lot of people to be in the facility. And so everyday person can come into a P3 and experience it without paying, $70 just to go sit in a sauna for 45 minutes, or, a few $100 to go to a nice spa and get a massage and that.
I'm so curious. I don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole, but like the baths are they're not 12-person like hot tubs that you're just jumping in with other people, or are they?
Yeah, they are. They're
Oh, okay.
self-cleaning. It's really cool. They self-regulate, like all the equipment keeps it nice and clean.
Okay.
But it's very community driven, so people actually like it. We get a lot of sports teams that come in and use the facility because it's really contrast therapy. You really feel a difference. Like if you jump in a cold plunge and then go sit in a sauna, which I have both of those in my home, it'll take you about 40 minutes to warm up from the cold plunge at like 40 degrees. You go from a 40-degree, cold plunge to 102-degree, basically hot bath. Like you will warm up in less than a minute. And so it's really interesting, the difference in the contrast therapy there. And there's a lot of science behind it, things like that I am not the best person to speak to.
Well, let's talk about on the membership there. In a chiro clinic, a lot of times it's a 2-day process, a 1-day process, a 3-day process. You're taking an exam, preparing findings, presenting some kind of a care plan. How's that? I'd like you to speak into the model you're in now with this, because I'm guessing it's a lot more simple. It's probably a menu of services people pick. But then talk about, what are some of the best practices on the membership side of things and reoccurring revenue?
Yeah, so we focus on memberships. The majority, 75% plus of the revenue comes in through the membership model. About 25% comes through one-time visitors, and we get a ton of those. But it's not really our focus. The focus is the membership because it allows us to have a set number of people that we take care of, and they come in on a regular basis, use the facility. It also allows us to keep the cost down, right? Because it's an efficiency standpoint. Like we can have a lot more people coming in and out of the facility. We're not having to explain to them how to use the modalities, where to go, what to utilize, how to use it. And so really everyone wins because we get to keep our costs down, so we don't charge as much, and they get much more, affordable version of P3. And so I would say when you look at a chiropractic office, the most successful offices that we saw were doing care plans and membership models. And even one of the things we constantly talked about was don't even do 1-year care plans, right? Do lifetime care plans. Like why would you set a patient up and then have to talk to them about money again a year later?
Ignore it, yeah.
Yeah, like why do a renewal? Like, so think about our business. Like
Right.
someone signed up for a membership. We never talk about money with them ever again, right? Unless they're wanting to cancel, unless they don't show up. And, we do no-show calls. We have some AI that we're testing to make those calls. That's really good as well. So we're kind of mixing humans and AI to work on some of that for us.
Yeah.
But like we
Yeah.
check on someone if they're not coming to our
I
facility.
remember when you started with Fortis, and of course your brother was a customer real young. We all were much younger at the time, but I remember your brother's practice and just freaking crushing it once he transitioned from that one model year care plans into, yeah, this is just forever. So just do that. And I remember just astronomical numbers in his practice.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and especially with your experience and our experience together, technology, we know recurring revenue has a valuation, a multiple, right?
Yep.
And now you're going into it, you're transitioning into a healthcare space, more or less, right? How
Yep.
does that change and more similar to an actual chiropractic practice with a recurring revenue than your other business was? So how does that multiple change? How much more valuable is it, even in just that type of business, the specific one you're in? Had you been charging, per visit or packages or something like that, as opposed to just a recurring model, when it comes to a valuation for a business like that, what's the difference? How big of a difference is it?
I don't know that anyone would be interested in us if we weren't doing recurrings, right? So from a long-term valuation standpoint, I would, oh gosh, I don't know that a buyer would come in and look at us one day if we were charging one-off visits, because it's revenue that you have no guarantee of.
Right.
And so it is, we are a franchise model, so there's value there, right? Because we are getting, like, from a Topco standpoint, we're getting, a percentage of the revenue from each location. But if the locations weren't doing that guaranteed consistent revenue, that would be tough. And it's already a struggle for franchisees. Don't love doing sales, right? They're not as adept to it. Now, once the locations are open, like when we do pre-sales, we really help them with that because it's something new for a lot of people, right? You might be able to run a business, but selling something is
Right.
is new. So we really assist with that. We teach them the membership models. We teach them why that's important. And then as you're talking to customers too, everything is a membership. So you can do kind of like our foundation, which is like the pools, the saunas, the leg compression, the breathwork stuff. But then we have memberships for the hyperbaric machines, memberships for the red light machines. And so you get people just used to using them on a regular cadence. And once people get used to it, they're feeling better. It's eerily similar to running a chiropractic office, right? Like, you get people better, they feel better. Now it's like you have to keep them coming in because they have to keep doing what got them better, right? And
Right.
that comes down to
So
that.
once I go in there, you want me to keep coming forever. That's what I've heard about you people.
Hey,
So John,
I'm 40 years old. I was adjusted coming out of the womb when my dad grabbed me, and I still get adjusted today.
Yeah.
So
Jonathan, how do you apply that? For all your years inside chiropractic clinics, what were a couple of the things you saw on the top performing clinics? You got to see under the hood of a wide range of clinics. So when you looked at the ones who are always on the top end of collections, what are some of the insights you have from there?
that's a great question. Some portion of that is personality driven, right?
Yeah.
You had really good personalities in the clinic, whether that be the owner or the person they had hired in, right?
Mhm.
So we always saw that personality difference. They were very systematic. They had an approach and they had a process to everything. This wasn't, oh, we're going to do it this way this day. They had systems, scripts, procedures, and they followed them, right?
Yeah.
Again, similar to like a franchise model that we're building, like we put these systems in place. There's a reason why a lot of the, coaching groups like TRP work so well, right? Because they give you all of the systems that you need. There's a reason why Clinic Mind works so well in an office, right? They
Right.
have all the processes built in there. We're not relying on, we always said like front desk Becky to figure out what to do there. We wanted to put those systems in place. That's probably really the biggest thing is, and they didn't deviate from those systems. And so no matter who was at the front desk or who was managing the office, you could have that turnover and it wasn't, catastrophic to the clinic.
Yeah, that's insightful. How about you touched on something there. I think when we started doing reoccurring in our clinics, it was such a neat concept, but then pretty quick the reality was, oh wow, people don't come and that can get weird pretty quick if we keep billing them. Oh, the credit cards decline or expire. Um, and I heard you allude to that, like you're using AI to engage people.
Mhm.
Um, I think for me in my road, that was something I don't know. I think I was maybe sold just blindly. Wow, that's really smart to bill their credit card every month. And I didn't realize, well, there's a whole other side to that business. Because people won't let you bill them forever. It's not a gym. And then the unfortunate thing is early on, we're like, yeah, you've been billing me for 5 months. Can I get a refund? Or you owe me this many visits. And because we have state boards, it's not a gym membership where you can say, yep, sorry, it's our money.
Yeah.
You've got to, it took us we had to work through that early on. So any insights there?
Yeah, I mean, it's this double-edged sword, and it's tougher for the chiropractic profession than I would say any other industry that we deal with. Because to your point, a gym, a P3, you're continuing to bill. We're not, a lot of those places will say we're not actively monitoring your attendance. So it's your responsibility to check your credit card statement and know. And
Yeah.
we would get calls from offices and they'd be like, well, we were billing a patient for 18 months. And I would say to them, like, there is some responsibility on the patient to be like, hey, it was hitting your credit card statement. Like, if you're seeing 500 patients a week, 300 patients, you're going to check every single one to make sure they're coming in and that the billing stopped and all of that. So there is that, responsibility of the card holder. However, it's a little different because reputational damage and things like that you have to be careful of.
Yeah.
We take that same approach at P3. Like, we don't want to just bill people to bill people. So we are active. If someone doesn't show up within a week, we are calling them. So we are calling them to try and figure out why are they not coming in, because automatically to us, it's a retention case at that point. So
Yeah.
we are thinking this customer may be leaving. Do we need to retain them? Right. And we'll work at it. It's a text, a phone call,
Yeah.
email, all of those kinds of things. So I think you have to have those processes in place to figure out, because then we can do some sort of reactivation with them. Is it a cost? Is it they can't come in enough? Maybe they're on the wrong package, right? Or maybe they want to buy, a 10-pack visit, right? Something like that. And there's a different model that we can still accommodate them that suits them. Or maybe they travel a lot, right? And so for us, they can go visit another P3 facility in that other city. But, in the chiropractic world, maybe it's just a matter of having some other model that fits them. Now, the
That's good
billing will
insight.
often, it runs now and things are getting better. There's card count updater where you can actually go get the patient's new card. So you can pay like $1. And basically, if their card expires or they have fraud, which happens regularly, it goes right out to Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover, and they'll give us the new card number in a
Oh,
platform.
nice.
So it pulls all that in. Like, it's really easy. It's getting much more automated as it goes, but you still have to keep that customer satisfaction.
Yeah, I think chiropractic is tricky. I mean, it means you have to be more intentional about your real churn slash retention rates,
Yeah.
because it is not a gym membership. There is a lot more responsibility on us as healthcare providers than there is a gym, right? We got to make sure that if they've stopped coming in, there should be a process in place to be reaching out to them, like ethically.
You had a nugget there, Jonathan, that I think a lot of chiropractors miss because they think, uh, okay, get them on the plan. They're not coming. They stop the plan. And it's like, well, what if you could offer something else, like a package? Okay,
Downsell,
maybe
yeah.
you're not wanting to do our corrective care plan, but maybe we can pivot you to a 10 visit card and we can apply this payment to those visits. And I think a lot of chiropractors might miss. They kind of get in their system, and sometimes there's maybe a middle ground solution. That was interesting to hear you touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we want to meet the customer where they are, right? And what their availability is. So you get everyone from, like, we have football athletes down in Australia, football, not like American football, and not
Yeah.
soccer, a different football that they
Rugby.
have. Well, it's even another. It's like
It's
a
another one.
mixture of rugby and football. It's mayhem. They're like tackling stuff with no
Never
pads,
heard
and
of
you
it.
can like flip people over. But we have some of these great athletes that come in, and they're coming in 4 or 5 times a week, right? Because it's all about, they've got games and their recovery and they're running miles in a game and things like that, down to just, you'll go in there and you'll meet elderly people who are coming in there because their body just feels a little bit better, right? To people who just want to show up on a, ad hoc per visit basis. And so we try not to overwhelm, like have an overwhelming menu of products, but we don't display all of our menu of products, right? So we only display what we want them to see when we're doing a retention call. Now we can verbalize that with them, because it's not really something we don't really want someone to buy just like a 10-pack,
Yeah.
but it is available for those customers who it's really, the only option for.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, Jonathan, last question.
Yeah.
UAC, why have you been in it? What's been the benefit to you being in the group?
Yeah, I mean, UAC is just a different level of chiropractic thinkers, right? And so I think, a lot of chiropractic is filled with a lot of practitioners, but they never get out there and talk to other entrepreneurs and think outside the box of what they can do in their practice, how they can maybe still use their chiropractic degree, but being something adjacent. Like and there's no judgment in the group. It's very pro chiropractic, but pro just whatever that person's trying to do. So everyone's so helpful. Everyone's so nice. There's no judgment. A lot of chiropractic, especially back in the day, I've been going to FCA and DE since I was like a little kid. And a lot of time there was this like infighting and judgment, and it's got to be pure principled this and that. And while I'm a very like principled in my chiropractic thought, you can still do something adjacent and still be helping the profession. I was adjacent to the profession for 13 years, but still considered myself pretty principled. We were just helping chiropractic, helping people, and kind of doing it today. So if you haven't been to a UAC event, like I would just go meet the people, and I think you'll really see the difference. It's a really welcoming group of chiropractors, which is refreshing, I think, compared to what had been happening for a long time in the profession.
Awesome. Well, I love and appreciate you, Jonathan. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us today,
Good
brother.
to see you, bro.
Love you. Good to see you guys.
Good luck with the
Great
new
work, guys.
venture.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
All right, bud.